So last month I was in a decluttering rut. I had like no motivation to get anything done. And even when I did work a little bit at decluttering, I just felt like I was not getting anywhere. And on top of it, it was like the holidays and sicknesses, and I was really busy at work, and everything just got really behind. And I felt like I was losing all of my traction and all of my motivation. It was just all out the window at one time. So I was really frustrated and I decided that I would just try some trash bag therapy. And so trash bag therapy is when you walk around your house with like a trash bag and literally just throw stuff out. Like whatever you see that you're like, I wish this wasn't here, just just throw it out. And it's supposed to be really fast and really productive. And in the end, you've cleared out like a lot of visual clutter and your space is more functional and you've just kind of thinned out like that top layer of stuff. And that's what I thought I was going to do. As a matter of fact, I even videotaped it, and the video is in the description if you want to check it out. So I did this, but I really struggled. And you'll see if you watch the video that I was really struggling. And ultimately, I was able to clear out some stuff, like a lot of stuff from a medicine cabinet and a little bit from the basement. But that's not really what it's supposed to be. Like trash bag therapy is supposed to clear your functional space. And so ultimately, it kind of failed. Now, it didn't really fail, right? Like, I did fill a garbage bag and I did throw that garbage bag out in the trash. And it definitely did it accomplished the goal of taking a trash bag out of my house, but it didn't really accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish, which is like removing stuff from my functional space and my visual space to help like boost my decluttering. So I was actually feeling very defeated at the end of this. My morale was already low. I was already behind. I filled up this garbage bag and everything still basically looked the same. I didn't actually make a lot of like visual or functional space progress. So I was thinking about it that night and I wasn't like obsessing over it, but it was kind of like ruminating in my, like it was like out here, like I wasn't like laser focused on it, but I was like, boy, that didn't really go how I expected it to go. So I was ruminating about the kind of failure of this trash bag therapy and how it didn't change my like functional or visible space. And then a little magic happened. I kind of thought back mentally to like these pictures of like what did my laundry room look like? What did my office look like? What did my kitchen look like? And in my mind, I was actually thinking, I know there's more stuff. And there's stuff. Like, I know there's more stuff that I can get rid of. And so the next day, I'm still feeling kind of defeated. I figured I'm just gonna go look around in the laundry room again because our laundry room is actually very large and it serves a lot of purposes, not just laundry, but there's like a whole storage and a craft supply component to that room. So there's often like more stuff to declutter in that room than what there would normally be in just like a dedicated laundry. So I went in there and I just had fresh eyes. I don't know if it's because I had had time to like look at the stuff and then step away and then come back to it again and realize that there actually was kind of a lot of stuff that I could get rid of. And so the day before I struggled and struggled to come up with one bag of stuff from like these places that didn't really affect my life, like this obscure closet and the basement. And then the very next day, I went into that laundry room and I got rid of two big garbage bags. And a lot of it was like this art supply stuff that I just realized that we don't actually use that much. And there were like better things that we could use than what was available to us there. And it actually changed the function of that space. Like the art supply stuff became like very manageable after that. And then I kind of felt a little boost. And so 2 days after that, I was able to get a whole like carload of stuff out of my basement. And I know that that's not like functional space, but a carload is, I mean, that's like getting to be kind of a lot of stuff. And the next day, two more bags out of like throughout the rest of my house. And then another carload between the house and the basement. And so all told, it ended up being like 5 garbage bags and 2 carloads of stuff that left my house. So now we're talking like this actually made like a very large difference. So what's really super cool about all of this is that my house actually looked and functioned different after this. So I think when we get off track with our decluttering, what we've really done is we've lost confidence in ourselves and we've lost confidence in our ability, right? We've lost our traction and we stop believing in ourselves that we can do it because you know how hard it is to come up with that confidence that you get from decluttering a little bit all the time. And when you lose that momentum, you start to lose that faith in yourself and you lose your confidence all over again. And I think I was just having to work through that confidence barrier again. And for me, that meant kind of muddling around for 20 minutes and throwing away stuff that was maybe kind of inconsequential, but it was a catalyst for something bigger. And so this leads into like three big lessons that I think we can take away from this story. So the first lesson is that just the smallest, littlest action sometimes can be the catalyst for a much larger action. So if you are feeling like you're in a rut, just get yourself to do the smallest thing, and then that's enough. Like, you don't have to kill yourself over this. You don't have to, like, punish yourself by throwing yourself into a room and saying, I can't come out until this space is decluttered. Like, we don't have to do that to ourselves. You can just say, maybe I can just go through this drawer today. And even if it's not successful, even if you just look at this drawer for 5 minutes and then end up closing it and walking away without having done much, I'm telling you, even the act of looking at that drawer for 5 minutes, it will stick in your brain. And in a day or two, you might feel differently. And the next day, maybe you go look in another space, or maybe you just open that drawer again and say, oh, I was looking at this belt and it didn't really occur to me the other day when I was looking at it, but actually I don't wear this and I can actually get rid of it. And now you've started, right? Like, you've made a little bit of action and a little bit of motion, and it will grow and you will get inertia from this. And so when we're in a rut, we have to find a way to get ourselves to do the smallest thing. I think the second lesson is to just keep failing. Like, we think of failure, we're so hard on ourselves. I think that we're so cruel to ourselves in ways that we would never treat our friend this way. Like, you would never tell your friend, oh, all you did was get rid of some stuff from your medicine cabinet in your basement. Well, that's not really useful and you failed. Like, you would not say that to your friend or your family. And so we can actually give ourselves the same grace, right? Like, we can actually say, I tried really hard and I spent some time doing it and it's okay. And I think relieving ourselves of that anxiety and that kind of like meanness that we can be to ourselves can actually like lift the cloud and help us to fail faster, right? Because we just have to get through those failures in order to get to the part that is not failure. I think the third lesson, it was certainly a lesson for me, is that we never know how close we are to the tipping point. And I've heard Dawn from A Minimal Mom talk about the tipping point before, and I'm always like thinking, oh yeah, I'm there. I'm at the tipping point because I'm removing stuff. But removing stuff isn't really what the tipping point is. It's when you remove stuff and suddenly you're like, wow, that actually did a lot. And I don't think it always presents itself in like a really obvious way, but I had thought that I was at this place before. And maybe I was and maybe I wasn't. I don't know. What I can say is that this time when I removed stuff, there was a drastic change. It used to be I could take 2 carloads out of my house and you would have no idea where they could have come from because no place looked substantially different. There was so much to remove that removing 2 carloads worth of clutter from my house did not actually move the needle. It did, but it didn't really move the needle in a really visible in your face kind of way, the way that this time did. So you might be close to that tipping point, and if you will just push yourself to get through, like just do a little bit and get yourself back on track, then you might actually be there. You might be surprised at where you are on your decluttering journey. And I hope that you are. And if you've reached the tipping point, would you please tell me below because I'm interested in what did you do that you were like, wow, all of this is paying off in a huge way. Like, is it when you finally went through your pots and pans or when you finally went through your closet or what the thing was? For me, Why art supplies were such a thing. I guess because it spilled into the entire room and made like a complete disaster all of the time. But now that I don't have that, now that I walk into my laundry room and there's space. There's nothing on the floor. There's nothing spilling out. There's nothing attacking me. It just makes a really big difference. And maybe each room has its own tipping point. I don't know. If you got some value out of this, it would be so meaningful to me if you would push the like button. Keep decluttering, and I'll see you next week.